Welcome to the Essence of Homeschooling podcast, brought to you by the umbrella school, Stateros Academy. We empower and equip you to cultivate the authentic homeschool lifestyle where freedom and relationships rule.
I'm probably the more relaxed planner in a way. But much like Kim, I do take a big picture. I look at the calendar. What's it going to look like? What things are important to our family? When do we need to start? How much time do we need off over Christmas? Or is there a special event that's coming up? What do we plan for that? Those are the big important things that go in. And then I do look at the basic subjects. What subjects are needed, right? The core subjects, but then also enrichment subjects. In Colorado, with the public schools having so many offerings, you can choose that for an enrichment or a core subject, but it still means it's a day of the week they're not at home. So that goes on the calendar. That actual one goes on the calendar in pen, not just pencil, because it is a commitment every week to attend, to participate in. And then I look at the different things and I start just like him with pencil and write down all the different things. Then I'll grab the curriculum before I have literally laid it out all on my bed. And I've looked up to God and said, okay, now what? th- this is where I am and I don't know what to do next. And then I start seeing the pieces of either what can fit together, what's not important. And there were things in my family with 5 kids, I did pull them all together for history for sure. And then different English read alouds if we were doing them, usually based off of history. But different stories, things like that. So where can I pull my family together? And then where do I allow them their individual? Because math is going to have to be, mine are all 3 and just over 3 years apart. So they're going to need math and grammar and the mechanics at their own level. So I have to do it that way. And then where can I either reuse curriculum based upon financial need, or what curriculum can I use that will fit, especially in math, in a sequential order? And then what other things do I want to add? I look at it and say, okay, what is important? Is there something in their character that's important this year? And I pray over that as well and may jot notes down about their character or time management or different things in life skills that may be important. And where am I going to add those in? And what goes next is if I am teaching a class and I have written the curriculum, I have to then make sure I've read all the books. So you do have to look at the books and you have to say, how am I going to divide this apart? How many chapters are there? How many sections? Whatever it is. And then what are we going to discuss? What questions are going to come up? What homework am I going to give? And I have to start with typing it all because handwriting all that is too much and you can't move it around as easily and you can't push the schedule down. And like I said before, even there's times in that I have to shift it because either we realize, that wasn't important enough to spend that much time on. We're going to not finish that book and we're going to move to the next one. Usually we finish a book, but we
Yeah.
can overlap it with something else. I just have kids who want to be reading the book. I don't
I think I'm very similar to both of you so far. I would like to start out each year, have my planner in front of me, definitely mark off vacation days, co-op days. If there's an evening with sports activities and I know we need to be done by a certain time and I know I want to feed the kids dinner first, plan out those days, because I made the mistake when I started of putting too many things on each day, and then they wouldn't get done, and then I would either try to cram them in and do them poorly, or head off to that sports practice or that Awana or that youth group or whatever it was, feeling like I hadn't done everything that I needed to do that day. And I don't know about y'all, but that's one of my worst feelings, is that feeling that you didn't teach your kids well that day. So after a couple years, because it took me a while, I learned, back off from the beginning. Don't overfill the days from the beginning. And I think both of you have already said this, write in pencil. I learned that the hard way too. In that vein, I would start off with math for sure, because that was not the subject I enjoyed. So I would write that down at the beginning. Okay, we're going to aim for 4 lessons a week. There's 120 in the book. How does that fall out? And to me, if we got math done well, I would feel at least a sense of accomplishment a little bit, even if the rest of the day kind of didn't go as planned. Say, at least we're on track with math. But that's just me. I know people who have other feelings about other subjects. Maybe it's English, maybe it's writing. Their child doesn't like to sit and write. So maybe you prioritize that first thing in the morning when they're fresh. But I would kind of plan out in general the courses that I wanted to do that week or that year around math and English. And then I would fit in history, science, and all the other extracurriculars. We did not do history and science in elementary school every day, but I would also utilize things in my planning like audiobooks. The history curriculum that we used for multiple years in elementary school had an audiobook version. So I would pop that in the car when we were on our way to a sports practice or church or wherever we were going and multitask. So after a while, I realized, oh, I can put that audiobook for our drive to ice skating from 2 to 2:30, and then our drive home from 3 to 3:30. And then when we get home, we could do the writing activity while it's fresh in our minds, or we could do the hands-on activity or whatever it is and divide it up that way. So those things just kind of came throughout the year once I got into the curriculum, because that's not going to be said on the website or on any planner, because that's family specific. Maybe there's other families who would hate the audiobook version or would want to sit at home and listen to it. So there's definitely flexibility there in how you want to implement it. But I think in general, having a written guide in pencil for each of your courses, marking off your vacation days, is a good way to start the year. But then at that point, be flexible. If there's an amazing snowfall and you want to go play in the fresh powder, do it. If it's a 70-degree day in Colorado in February and you want to go to the park and get some vitamin D, do it. I think I was too much of a slave to the calendar at the beginning. And yes, we got the things done, but at what cost? And so I think I would go back a little bit and say, it's okay at the end of the day if you didn't get all that done. Just move it to the next day. And then at the end of the week, what I would do is look at what I got done, what I need to move to the next week, and how far that put us behind or ahead. And then just go from there. And if I noticed after a couple weeks in a row, okay, I'm falling behind, then I knew I needed to buckle down and do what I needed to do. But in general, everything evened out in the end.
Are you looking for a supportive community to walk with you through your homeschooling journey? Look no further. Statheros Academy is your go-to umbrella school for fulfilling legal reporting requirements in Colorado. But what if you don't live in Colorado? We still serve you through our support tools and services. At Statheros Academy, we're not just another institution. We're your partners in education, providing comprehensive support services designed to empower, encourage, and equip you to be the best homeschool parent that your children deserve. Teacher and student IDs, parent and professional evaluations, attendance logs, record-keeping services, DIY high school transcripts, or our official homeschool high school transcript service produces personalized transcripts that highlight your students' unique accomplishments. High school diplomas celebrate your family's achievement when you successfully complete the adventure. Additionally, our experienced homeschool coaches provide one-on-one support throughout your journey. Custom tailor your homeschool support system by selecting one of our 3 enrollment packages based on your family's needs. This way, you can get exactly what you need to make the most of your homeschooling experience. We come alongside you in the way you want to be supported, whether that's the bare minimum or holding your hand each step of the way. The Umbrella School Statheros Academy provides what you want the way you want it. So why wait? Enroll with Stateros Academy today and unlock a world of possibilities for your homeschooling journey. Go to theumbrellaschool.com to learn more and sign up. We can't wait to serve your family. How often were you interacting with your planner like that? Was it weekly, daily?
I preferred having a planner daily. However, when I say having a planner, it is not 9 to 9:30 math, 9:35 bathroom break, 10 to, it's not that at all. It is just a planner where I would say on Monday, I would like to get done math, English, and history. That's it. I did not, and I do not recommend setting up a schedule like a school would, 9 to 9:50 math, 9:50 to 10 break, 10 to 10:50 English. That just didn't really work for my family. And also, I really love the flexibility in homeschool of if you get that math lesson done early because you know it, move on to the next thing. If you want to read 2 chapters in the book instead of 1, do it. If you want to go to the park or sit outside for your lunch and it takes 45 minutes instead of 30, do it. So I did interact with my planner every day, but it wasn't timing and it wasn't being a slave to it. It was more of a guide of, oh, right, this is a Monday. So I really wanted to do history today. So we can do it Monday, Wednesday. We can do science Tuesday, Thursday, and we have co-op on Friday or something like that.
What about Michelle and Kim? What about you? How often did you interact with your planners?
About once a week, or I would kind of glance at it daily. Oh, what did I feel like? You make your plan on the weekend and glance at it a little here and there throughout the week. After a while, it just sort of gets in your head, kind of what your general overall plan is. And I think too, once the kids are getting older, then you start to transition into having them make the planners themselves. You work with them first to create it, and then eventually you say, show me your planner. What is your plan for this week? Because you want to work yourself out of a job, right? And then you look at that and then you do a planner check at the end of the week. Oh, what did we miss? What do we need to make sure we get done going forward? Or did we overschedule? What happened here? It's that relationship thing too. And another really super nice thing about doing planners like that and having your kids being more and more responsible for that is that you can lay out your plan for the week and then you can say, you know what? If you get all 4 math lessons done by Tuesday, guess what? You can skip math the rest of the week. Isn't that great? And so you can give them a little bit more control over what they do and when they do it within the guidelines, right? So kind of a couple fun ways to play with that there. How about you, Michelle?
I would say when they were younger, I was in elementary and even some middle school, it was weekly and for some of them daily. It was more like Kim said at the beginning, going back, oh, this is what we did, right? I had certain days, Thursdays co-op, and which classes did they get at co-op? And then understanding that during the week, on Monday and Wednesday, they would have done homework for that class. So I would have written that in and the different things there. Sometimes daily, just to reiterate, while it was in my mind what we did, but definitely weekly when they were younger. And it's a little different now with a high school and then one in middle school. There's certain things that are daily that they just know. Here's your math. You do it daily. Here's your language arts. That is daily, or you can double up on it. Usually with math, for our family, I was like, no, because you need the practice daily. You're going to get into the rhythm of doing this every day. And there were certain times where I said, yeah, double it up because you've got stuff you want to do, your gymnastics or soccer or whatever it is. But then when I started really teaching high school classes, I probably look at my schedule for that because have I given them enough homework? What am I going to teach in the class? How am I going to lead the discussion? I spend more time doing that. But if I've written the curriculum already, like I have a class I'll be teaching in the fall, that's my 3rd time around. So that's pretty set. But again, new students, right? A new group of kids, even if one is my own, it's still a new dynamic. So I still will be looking at that on a regular basis. I think it just depends on what kids you're working with and how
Mhm.
that child learns. And sometimes for one kid, I did have to write it out. Here's your plan for Monday, dot, 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 with each subject listed, the chapters listed per day. And they had to initial by it when they completed it, just to get them in the habit of going through a calendar. And that was when he was in middle school. But it's been really neat to see when they hit high school, when they're taking concurrent enrollment, dual enrollment, classes from other people. I have one daughter who just has a whiteboard and she has written everything out on the whiteboard. So she has learned how to plan for herself, much like Stacy's daughter. And they've learned the value of those. And I would say I'm blessed. My kids are responsible for the most part. They still slack off in some areas and I have to rein them in, but they're still kids. And we're there to train them and guide them along the way. And yet, probably in some of it, I need someone to train and guide me along the way as well. That's why having community for us, we get each other, but having other people that can hold you accountable and remind you, hey, I think you're missing the boat on this. Science really does matter. And so, why don't you consider a science class with the lab? And accountability is important. And sometimes my kids are the ones holding me accountable.
Do you have a specific planner that you like?
I had to make my own.
What about Stacy and Kim? What does a good planner have inside of it for you to like it? What core things does it need?
Okay, I wanted to be the person who had the planner that has scripture in it to read and family to-do lists and your shopping list and kids' sizes of clothes and all of those, right? I tried. It's just not me. So I would just go to Mardell at the beginning of each year for the back to school sales and buy something on sale and make it work. Because, like I said, I didn't do it hour by hour. I didn't do it as my planner that I have at my employment. That's very different. But my homeschool planner, I just wanted a general one. I just made anything.
Yeah. I tried the fancy ones too that had all the bells and whistles and I was super excited about it. I don't know, I spent $25 or something like that. And I just never used it. I ended up just using my regular $2, got it at Target or something, calendar, and you just write real small in the boxes or just type something up on the computer if it's just your general plan for the year and went with that. But I know everybody's different. You just have to go with what you're for sure going to use yourself.
The one I made was created off of just the basic teacher calendars of
Mhm.
work for the week of. And then it
Yes.
has
Yeah.
subject and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I added notes for weekend plans because that could impact the following week or what we have to prepare for in the upcoming week. I could change the subjects per year because it's just something I made on the computer. And so I could change it per year, whether it's language arts, math, history, science, geography, art, music, drama, speech, whatever needs to go in there. And then each of my kids, I would write in with a different color pen for what we did because then it's a visual. I can look at it. Sometimes I had a different calendar for a different child.
Mhm.
And that was just in a notebook for that child to also be looking over, but I can also go to it and write in it.
And I would say make sure you're using a planner, calendar, whatever you need to that will help you stay on top of your state's legal requirements for reporting.
Hmm.
So if you have a state that you need to submit a portfolio or you need to make sure you have so many hours a day, make sure that you're getting some sort of planner that will help you track your state specific requirements.
Oh, that's such a good idea. And book list. Like Florida, they have to do a book list. Yeah, that's a great one.
Yes, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And you can put it in I ended up putting mine in a 3-ring binder, but I have a file folder for each of my kids so that work samples go in that file folder during the year. So I know right where it is. If somebody says, "Hey, what happened on that quiz?" I can pull it right back out. Or what are we doing for science? Well, here's what you've been doing so that it's just all accessible and really easy to get.
Brilliant. That makes me
Mhm.
so happy as an evaluator. I love that. You were talking too, though, about using a whiteboard. We used a system with our boys when they were younger, mostly really all of elementary school, where they each had their own whiteboard, and I would write on them the night before for what they had to do the next day, real basic in different colors, what they had to do. And if it was their color, one was green, one was blue, then they could do it on their own. If it was red, they had to wait and do it with me. And then other little ways that we coded it for this is your family job. Don't forget to do that. Your house job or whatever. So even young children can learn how to plan and help you plan and make their own plans and follow the plans and then have the fun of when you're done, you get to cross that off. Kids love whiteboards for some reason. Cross that off or erase it or whatever they want to do.
I guess from what you've heard from all of us, we all have a different way. And there's no one right way, but you're in it to educate your child. So it is going to take purpose. It is going to take planning. It is going to take effort, but there's many ways to do it. And it's worth that time to plan ahead so that you can enjoy the learning process with your children.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode. We hope that you enjoyed the conversation and found it insightful. Be sure to check out today's show notes for all applicable links and additional resources. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Your support helps us continue to bring you great content. Until next time, happy homeschooling.